I have a lot of fun doing these kind of videos because they're not really like, they're not that like, they're not serious like game reviews. They're not like, they're not factual. Well, they're not like, I don't have to be like as factual on news times, and like they're not. They're pretty fun to make. These kind of videos where I'm talking about stories around the NHL over the past 105 years around that time. It's so much fun just watching this just watching. It's so entertaining. So today we're gonna be talking about something that happened in 1976. But before that, we're gonna go 4 years later into 1980. Now, you guys might know that the Team USA with Mike Eruzione, Jack O'Callahan, Jimmy Craig, and many other players faced off against the Soviet Union in the 1980 Winter Olympics. That year, my dad was born, in fact, and they beat them. They completed the insane comeback. They beat the best team in the world, arguably the best team in the world, the Soviet Union, by a score of 4-3. They move on and they won the gold medal. Now people say that's the best moment in Olympic hockey. People say that's the best moment in Olympic hockey. I just said Olympic hockey. Yep. Some people might even say it's the best moment in hockey as a whole. But let me tell you something. People were saying, "Oh, that's the only team that beat the Soviet Union, like legitimately." There was I think Team Canada beat them once too. But the NHL, because that's the best league in the world. That's the best hockey league in the entire world. KHL is second to that. And you look at that, you're like, they had to have challenged, and they had to have challenged the Red Army at the time. And you know what? They did. And it was in total of a 3 to 4 game series, or no, it was like a few games exhibition. It was a 4-game exhibition between Boston, New York, Montreal, and Philadelphia. Now, heading into this, the Cold War was at intense times. The Cold War basically was from 1949 to the end of World War II to the collapse of the Soviet Union. And I'm not trying to get political here, but that's kind of the backstory. And it was kind of just like a competition between the U.S. and the basically a kids' competition between the U.S. and the Soviet Union to see who's better, whether it's military flexing, house flexing, like architecture flexing, or hockey flexing, because the USSR set out to be the best team in the entire world, the best hockey club in the entire world. And you know what? They did. They coached right. Their coaches were great. They had so much star players: Sergei Fedorov, Vladislav Fedosov, Alexander Mogilny, and Vladislav Tretiak. Now, I'm sure you guys watched the Miracle on Ice movie. You've heard of these players before. Well, how does this relate to this? Heading into this, the Soviet Union did a 4-game exhibition against 4 teams, as I mentioned before, and they destroyed the Rangers 7-3. They tied Montreal 3-3, and they beat the Rangers 5-3. You look at that. This is arguably the best team in the world by some people. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Soviet Union at the time is the best team in the world." And you know what? They're not exactly wrong. Because, this team rarely lost. Rarely. And, I can only think of 3 or 4 times that this team has lost. And that is crazy. But one of them was against this team. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have not heard this story. And we're gonna hop right into it. So, the NHL was kind of screwed right now. They're currently also at war with the WHA. I'm just gonna mention that they were currently, and it was a time for the NHL too. They were currently at war with the WHA. WHA competitions were going on. There was the Cold War, of course, which is causing problems. There was wars going on also. A lot of bad things were happening around that time in the 1970s. So, and some might say America was going through its worst time. And to be honest, I think right now is our worst time. So, I'm not going to get political anymore. But anyways, with that, they were up against Philadelphia. You know what? The entire world was rooting for them. The entire world. The USA, Canada, India, Sweden, any teams that were not a part of the Soviet Union at all, or not affiliated with the Soviet Union, were rooting for the Philadelphia Flyers. You know, at the time, it was before the 1980 miracle. Everyone was rooting for the Flyers. At the time, they were the two-time Stanley Cup champions, and they won by physicality. They won by my guy Dave Schultz. You know, I got to meet him. I got a signed picture of him. That was about a year ago, actually. We're going well over into a year and a half coming up. So, and they also had Bob Kelly. They had Bobby Clarke, which is probably the best player this team has ever had. You know, they had Don Selesky, Bill Barber, and famous goalie Bernie Parent, who was probably one of the most underrated goalies in the entire history of the NHL. So, you head into that game, you know, Fred Shero, at the time, was the coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, probably one of arguably the best coach, arguably one of the most underrated coaches in the entire NHL history. And I'm gonna say that right now. You know, the 1974 to 75 Flyers, to 76 even, were kind of forgotten. And we're kind of forgotten in the midst of, you know, the Canadiens dynasty, and the Bruins dynasty was there too. And then you had the Islanders dynasty right after and then you had the Islanders and Oilers dynasties right after the Canadiens' 4 straight cups. You know, the Flyers cups and their such good team kind of got left in the dust, to be completely honest with you. So you kind of forget about these guys. So Fred Shero said before the beginning of the game, he said if we win, we're going to be on the top of the world. If we lose, I think it'll be worse than dying. That's what he said, and that's pure leadership right there. That is absolutely pure leadership. And he's also been studying this team too. Maybe he's been studying this team to play like them or play against them. And he was right. You know, they had a style of play where they could get as much shots on Tradiak as possible, let him pass the puck, and just lock down a defense. That's basically what they did. They said, okay, Fred Shero said to this Philadelphia Flyers team, which we will review when the time comes. He said to them, okay, you are going to pressure them hard. You are going to lock down the defense, not let them get in at all, and then when they start just let them pass it back and forth to each other and just not let them get into the offensive zone. They started playing a different way than they used to, and then the Flyers started playing the regular way they do. There was a play where Kazaktinov was hit by Ed Van Impe. It was no call in the play, and it was probably one of the most lethal hits in hockey. He was the same player who got slashed by, I think, Bobby Clarke in the 1972 Summit Series, which I think Canada won. So, you know, this was 4 years back, and it was still a thing. So, you know, Kazaktinov gets hurt. There's no call in the play. The Russians are mad as heck. The Flyers are just vibing, and they leave. The Russians just left. They left in protest, and they just left the ice. Refused to play the rest of the game. It was still in the first period too, and it was tied 0-0. So it wasn't even like it was like they were down like 6-0. But you know, they leave. Ed Snyder gets out of his seat immediately, who's the owner of the Philadelphia Flyers. And, you know, the funny thing is, people were holding up these signs, Tel de Cesar, CZAR, I don't even know how to say that. And, you know, it's entertaining to see stuff like that. So Ed Snyder immediately got off his seat, went down to go see Clarence Campbell and a lot of other Flyers players and a lot of other NHL officials, including some people from Russia. And he said to him, "You're not going to get paid. Tell the players that if they don't come out, their $200,000 that they got for this exhibition game trip, they're not getting paid it." So, yeah, and that made him come back onto the ice. But not long after that, the Flyers got a goal. So Reggie Leach scored a goal, and it was 1-0 Philly. Just 5 minutes later, it was 2-0. In the second period, Russia got a goal, which made it 2-1, and then the Flyers got a goal once again, which made it 3-1. Third period, Joe Watson got a goal, who rarely scores goals, and then they got another goal, which made it. Joe Watson got a goal, and the final score was 4-1. And if it weren't for the amazing play by Tradiak, it would have been even more embarrassing. I'm bold when I say that. It would have been so much more embarrassing if it weren't for the solid play of Tradiak. They would have lost. If they had Michigan in net, who was the backup, they would have had like 9 or 10 on net. They would have had 9 or 10 goals. Honestly, you can't tell me otherwise. So final score was 4-1. You know, it was funny after that because a newspaper came out. The team started criticizing each other, and the Flyers are the only team in the NHL to officially beat the Soviet Union. The only team in the NHL. Not even the All-Stars did it, and that was in 1979. You know, the All-Stars played the Soviet Union all in a best-of-3 series, got their butts kicked. They lost. They got their butts kicked in 1979, and that was less than a year prior to the Miracle on Ice. So, you know, they couldn't even beat the All-Stars. They might as well just make the Flyers team the All-Stars, to be honest with you. So, you know, you wouldn't win playing that way now, but you sure as heck would win playing that. You sure as heck would win that way playing back then. So yeah, and then in a newspaper that came out for Russia, they had these Flyers players with like clubs looking like caveman because they didn't support the way the Flyers play, which that's Philadelphia hockey. I'm sorry, that's Philly hockey. And you know, that was it. That was it. I loved the comic. The comic was awesome. I remember seeing it. I loved it. You know, of course, this is my Philadelphia Flyers team. We're proud to hold this record. We hold a few other records in the NHL also, so we will also be talking about them definitely. So yeah, I'm just trying to make a positive Flyers video since you know, they got knocked out and I was depressed. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, give me a little like, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 400 subscribers by the end of the year. We're currently 19 away. It's been awesome. The support's been great. I love making videos like this. We'll likely make one more next week. Tomorrow's gonna be a 2020 review, so enjoy. Hope you guys can't wait for that. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you guys next one.